Evening, everyone. Am I audible? Online walo, please let me know if I am audible. Am I audible, everyone? Tablet आप मंगा रहे हैं? Okay, so I'm meeting many of you for the first time. So I will be discussing few things that I always discuss to all of my dear students when I meet them for the first time. And then we'll be discussing some of the questions of this year's paper and how exactly we can prepare for those questions for that kind of paper going forward. So how many of you have gone through this year's paper? किसी ने लिखा भी है क्या? How many of you have written mains this year? Okay, nice. So, what was the difference that you were able to identify with respect to this year and the last year paper? What was the major difference? Yes, paper was more applied this year. They are saying not audible. Am I not audible? Am I not audible? I am audible, Nitesh. I think please check at your end. Okay, so this year paper was more of an applied nature, and I think if we just look at the type of question that UPSC asked, it went back to its old method of asking many, statement-based questions. A single question had 3 to 4 line of statement, and that makes it quite challenging because usually there is a time crunch when we are attempting ethics paper, and when that time crunch is there, and still if you just add the length of it, then what happens? There is further crunch of time. So that is the kind of complexity that was added by UPSC. So with respect to length, with respect to complexity of the question, with respect to the number of statement that UPSC asked in terms of a single question, it was definitely difficult than last year. Somehow it was more on the lines of 2022 paper. That paper also had multi-statement based question. A single question was having many statements. So it was going back to 2022 level, as far as ethics paper is concerned. But if we look at the themes of the question, the kind of themes that UPSC has asked this year, especially if we talk about section A, then we will see that UPSC has not much deviated from what it has been asking for last many years. The question may appear different in the form of, difficult in the form of form. But if you look at the substance of the question will always remain the same, and that is quite possible if you just analyze the PYQs holistically. If you just see the questions, you will understand that many of the questions that UP asked this year, they have been asked by UPSC earlier in one form or the other. Only the form changed, but the substance of the matter that UPSC wanted to ask, it was same. And that is what we will try to understand through this discussion. That is what we will try to understand, that we should not treat all these questions as a separate questions, because if we look at the question from the perspective of form, then we will see there are various different questions, and if we try to prepare all of them, then it will be very Herculean task. So what we all need to do, we need to identify themes, that these are the themes based on which single theme these type of questions have been asked. So this particular type of theme can be asked through different type of question. This particular theme can be asked through different format. That is what we need to understand, and that is how we can simplify our own lectures. Many students were asking, sir, how will you be able to finish syllabus in these many classes? Because we see there are many classes that are there. Then I tell those students that if you look at the syllabus, we can identify and eliminate there are various overlapping themes that are there, and that will add to lot of simplification of your preparation. So that is what we need to do when it comes to ethics paper. Okay, so now I have this tablet with me. So the students who are attending online also, I will be able through YouTube also, I will be able to see their questions, and then I will answer them. Okay, so that is what we need to understand, that we need to approach this particular paper from a different perspective altogether. It is not just like a content that you prepare content and everything has to be prepared. It is not like that. In ethics, there are very, very limited number of themes, and I will show you through various example of this year's question that how those themes were there. And and you will also concur with me that yes, that is how ethics should be prepared. But before we move towards that, there are very uh, many students are here whom I am meeting for the first time, and to them I have something to say, that why you should take this ethics paper so seriously. uh, why should we take this paper so seriously? Can anyone tell me why we should take this paper so seriously? All of you would have heard that to become a topper in civil services, you need to score very high in your ethics essay and optional. Why is it said so? Why is it said so? Yes, cost benefit analysis. Although the every GS paper, is of 250 marks, but the kind of efforts that are required to achieve, that kind of marks is quite different. I will just give you example of my two dear students, Adit Srivastav and Khushali Solanki. He got rank 1 last year and Khushali was rank 61 last year. And Aditya was able to improve his ethics mark from 104 to 143, and that was a humongous jump of 39 marks. He already was a topper in civil services. He already had an rank in civil services, I think 226 rank, something like that. He already was an IPS officer. Many of the people, they become content at this top of marks. 104 aa gaya, bahut aa gaya. They become just content, bahut hai sir. But he was like, no sir, I need to learn more. I need to improve further. And he was like, that when he met me, he told me, sir, I want to score further. How can I improve further? And see, if you just compare his mark sheet of this year from last year, you will understand and realize the kind of role that has been played by these 39 marks. That is the single most jump he has got across all the GS optional paper as well as in essay. 40, almost 39 marks jump is there. Similarly, you talk about Khushali Solanki. She was able to improve by 36 marks. Around 100 marks she got in her previous attempt, and she got 136 marks this year. So that is a jump of 36 marks. So that is why we say ethics is so important, because you can get a jump of 30 to 40 marks. That becomes very, very difficult with respect to your other GS paper. You have to put in lot of efforts to get those kind of marks in your other GS paper. That is what you need to understand, and that is why you need to prepare ethics so thoroughly. And it will help you not just in your GS examination, it will also help you in your essay as well. I think some of you are part of ethics enrichment program, and all of you can verify that this question, nearly all men can withstand adversity, was there in our mini test discussion, and it came there directly in the form of essay topic. And if you just look at the first question, I think in another mini test I will show you that question, that unexamined life is not worth loving. And that question was also asked in section A, that the true doubter is a man of science. Especially the theme of scientific temper is very comprehensively covered by Greek thinkers that we all discussed in our Western thinkers and philosophers. So basically, all I am saying is that if you prepare ethics well, it will not just help you, in terms of gaining high marks in your ethics paper, 30 to 40 marks jump that is there, but also it will help you in your essay paper as well. Either there can be direct question like this, or almost in all the philosophical essay question, there will be an ethical dimension, and you can invoke that. In almost all GS-based question, you talk about health, you talk about education, you can talk about environment, you can always have ethics-related way forward. That is what we need to do at family level. That is what we need to do at society level, so on and so forth. So that is how this particular paper is so important. And if you still don't believe me, I will just talk about Ajay. As you can see, his message from 19th April 24. That thank you sir for the classes, and he was able to improve a total of 62 marks. He said that he will get the IAS because of these two papers only. That is how important these papers are. A jump of nearly 60 marks. It will take you lot of efforts to improve that kind of marks in an optional paper. Lot of effort, I am telling you. Lot of effort in terms of other GS papers. You talk about GS1, you need to read history. In history, you need to read art and culture, ancient history, medieval history, then modern history, world history, post-independence. And after that, you get limited number of questions. Then you need to read society. So much of things are there to read in society. Then you read geography, and when you read all these three subjects that are quite in depth, the syllabus is quite in depth, then only you will to score high marks in your GS1 paper. You talk about paper two, polity, governance, social justice, so much of current affair, international relation, but if you talk about ethics, if you have prepared ethics thoroughly, I am guaranteeing you that entire ethics can be summarized in just 15 to 20 pages, because then you will be able to identify that these are the themes that are often asked by UPSC. So that is how important this particular paper is. That is how important you should attach to this particular paper. And for that, one important line that I always abide by, both as a mentor and as a teacher, and that also I would like all of you to believe in, that you need to believe in habitual excellence. Excellence is not just a result of a single day. We are actually what we repeatedly do. Many of you believe that Aditya got lucky that he got 143 marks in ethics paper. Khoshali also got lucky. That was, his day, her day. Yes, luck definitely plays a role, but luck alone will not suffice. So you need to prepare something on a daily basis. You need to give sufficient amount of effort on a daily basis. For you to be called a punctual and disciplined student, you need to be punctual and disciplined student day in, day out, day after day, weeks after weeks, months after months. And if you still don't believe me, you just read this chat from, I think that is his Telegram channel, and see, between prelims and mains, he has talked about that how he was benefited from the classes, and then how he used to devote regular time for ethics just after dinner. If you just listen to the podcast that is there on the official YouTube channel of the Vajiram and Ravi, you will understand that between prelims and mains, he was giving dedicated time for the ethics paper. So a lot of effort went by when he scored 143 marks. On a daily basis, he was putting in efforts, mostly for ethics and then optional. You can just go through the interview that is there on the YouTube channel, and also just go through this. So that is what you need to understand. And see, all these messages are just from few days before the mains examination. That's how persistent he was in terms of seeking feedback, that that I need to improve further. I was telling him that, Aditya, you are doing quite well, you will do quite well. No sir, please tell me what more can I do. And that is the kind of pursuit of excellence this person was having. And you see, just after writing mains, he had this, he sent this message to me. He was so confident. This is the purest form of testimonial that a mentor can get, because this is not contingent upon result. This is not contingent upon marks. This is simply coming from the sheer joy of writing the best ethics paper that one have done. It is just there. Similarly, you talk about Khoshali Solanki. She sent me this message, just 2-3 months before the mains examination. To be honest, I thought I know ethics. Everyone believes in that they know something. But for you, to be a true student, for you to be a true learner, you need to understand that there are limits. That is something that you need to improve. And that's what she learned after the classes regarding interconnections, and doing so and so forth. And she believed that now I believe that I will be able to score 130 plus. And that is the kind of self-belief she had before writing mains. And how many marks she got? She got 136 marks. So all I'm saying is, you need to identify that what are the mistakes that you are committing. You need to be honest about them, and then you need to work consistently towards it. That is the only formula that is there. There is no magic formula that is there. Similar, message was sent to me by Arjun also, just after examination, that sir, I was able to complete the ethics examination 2 minutes before the scheduled time. It was from 2022 paper. And then he messaged me, sir, thank you once again, I secured rank 32. He's Arjun Gupta. So basically, all I will advise you that whenever you are attempting this examination, you need to examine on a constant basis that what all mistakes you are doing. You need to be honest about it. You need to introspect, and then you need to work on those mistakes. That is the only way that is there for you to improve. There is no other magic pill. You need to be mad about your dreams. You need to be passionate about your dream. There is no limit. Because if you are not studying, then someone else is studying, and he will make it to the civil services, and you will still be studying. So that is something that is very, very important. You have to strive for excellence. Just like Aditya, there's no limit in terms of improvement. You can improve a lot, and then UPSC will also reward you like that. And when you see such traits in any aspirants, you are forced to write something for them. So when I met Annapurna, she had improved so dramatically that I had to write, Annapurna, you will get a rank this year. This was from 15 July 2023, 2 months before the mains examination, and she got all India rank 99. She would have been in top 50 of this examination, had it not been for a silly mistake that she committed while writing ethics paper. She wrote one case study answer in the space of other case study answer. And I think UPSC would have penalized her for that. And that would have made all the difference for a top 50 rank and the rank she got, 99 rank. So that is what, my dear students, you also need to focus, that ethics is very, very important. A, in terms of input-output ratio. B, in terms of kind of range of marks, you can get in this paper. B, the kind of, externalities that are there in terms of your other paper, that is essay paper. And you need to be honest about your preparation. Just learn from your mistake, and if you improve upon them, you will improve tremendously, I'm telling you. So now let us just start with our paper discussion. The very first question that UPSC asked was, that the application of artificial intelligence as a dependable source of input for the administrative rational decision making is a debatable issue. Just give me a minute. I will just drink water and then we'll discuss. So the application of AI as a dependable source of input for administrative rational decision making is a debatable issue. Critically examine the statement from ethical point of view. If you read this question, and if you just read this question, just read this question that we gave in our mini test number 6 of the ethics enrichment program. Just read this question. Impact of digital technology as a reliable source of input for rational decision making is a debatable issue. UPSC simply replaced its own question from digital technology with artificial intelligence. So all I'm telling you that you need to identify themes that are there. The same question can be asked, just by tweaking few words. The answer to this question, will be more or less same that is there to this question that UPSC asked. The only difference will be that here you need to give example from artificial intelligence. And that also we discussed in the context of, this mini test number 1. As you can see, the growing influence of technology raises ethical concerns about privacy, data security, and algorithm bias. So the theme of technology was very comprehensively covered, and you should also cover that when you are preparing yourself, because it is a very important dimension of applied ethics. When we study applied ethics, it is expected that we should know technological ethics. It is expected that we should solve these P by Qs and we should practice them, so much so that we find the question very easy. If any of the student has prepared like that, then he would find this question very easy. Now, what is the answer to this question? Now, answer to this question will be from various perspectives, and that is where your answer writing skills will come into the play. It is not just content. Of course, there are ethical issues with respect to algorithm bias. I think we talked about a case study that Amazon has stopped using hiring platform because it was favoring males over females because of certain keywords. So that is a kind of ethical issue, that is the algorithm bias. We also talked about echo chamber impact that is there because of this algorithm. Instagrams and all those reels, they accentuate and strengthen our prejudiced attitude. Then privacy concerns that are there, data security concerns that are there. So we will discuss from that point of view. But there is another angle to it, and that is where your answer writing skills will come into the play. It is talking about rational decision making. A rational decision making is the decision making that is based on sheer facts. It does not take into account the importance of values, and emotions. So that is why AI may not be able to capture emotions that well. The technology is not foolproof. It has its own problem. And apart from that, we may not rely on the technology because the role of emotions, values, intuition, that is there. There was one essay last year that visionary decision making happens at the intersection of logic and intuition. Logic is what rational decision making is all about. So that is what you need to discuss. You need to discuss this question not just from the technological ethics point of view, but also from the perspective of limitations of rational decision making, limitation of objectivity. So that is what a good student will do. He will combine both these two themes to enhance depth and diversity in his answer. He will not just restrict the answer to technological ethics, although the question is on technological ethics only, but it also has a layering of rational decision making. So those are the kind of ethical issues that are there: data integrity, digital divide, all those things that you can write. And of course, you need to talk about the positives also, that how AI can be used, to do so many great things. So that is how you should prepare. You need to look at the PYQ regular basis, identify the themes, and just, prepare thoroughly that theme. Done? Have you understood? Have you understood this question? The technological concerns are from the ethical perspective. Apart from that, the application of AI as a dependable source of input for rational decision making, meaning we cannot just rely on AI only. That is what this question is saying. So that is another dimension. Data is not sufficient, bias may be there in data and everything, and plus it may not capture emotions, it may not reflect the kind of intuition that is required. How would have AI helped in the case of COVID-19? There was no data to begin with. So administrative decision making may require intuition and experience at that time that may not be explained by AI. That is what you need to bring in. And that is what a topper like, a student will bring that kind of dimension in the answer. And that is where answer writing skills will come into the play. And that is the difference that is there between an answer that will get 4 marks or 4.5 marks and an answer that will get 6 marks and 6.5 marks. And that's how, you will travel the distance from 100 marks to 140 marks. So let us just move to the next question. Ethics encompasses, I'm reading it from here, it is easy for me to read from here. Ethics encompasses several key dimensions that are crucial in guiding individuals and organizations towards morally responsible behavior. Explain the key dimensions of ethics that influence human actions. So there is topic that is directly there in your syllabus, that dimensions of ethics. So dimensions of ethics basically talks about both theoretical and applied dimensions of ethics, then how it is actually shaping your ethical your decision making. That what is it that you should consider when you are making decision. That is what this question is saying, that how do key dimensions of ethics that influence human action. So what are the key dimensions of ethics? How does ethics provide moral map? How does it helps you in resolving moral issues? How does it helps in terms of individual good and societal good? That is what you need to write. That is there from the notes only. Apart from that, you can also talk about the applied dimension. The next question: how does these dimensions shape ethical decision making in the professional context? That is nothing but the application of ethics in the certain professional dimension. Talk about media ethics, business ethics, administrative ethics. These are professional context only. So that is how ethics shapes your decision making. This is from lecture notes, I think, and this is from notes that is there. So this question, otherwise it looks very difficult. Arey, kya pooch liya? But if you have prepared the ethics thoroughly, if you know the essence of ethics, that is how ethics, kuch bhi nahi hai, kuch bhi nahi aata. Even if we don't know anything about ethics, even if we simply understand, we know what is there in dimensions of ethics. Then also from this perspective also you can write this answer. That how does, normative school of ethics talks about that how should individuals and organizations behave. That how they should discharge their duty in terms of deontological ethics. How they should, how individuals should be of virtuous character by following virtue ethics. Then also you would have drawn a great example. Great example. Similarly, if you talk about this dimension in the professional context, the applied dimension should have come to your mind. And this is not the first time UPSC has asked this type of question. The important syllabus, that is the dimension and the consequences of ethics. Before that, UPSC has been asking consequence of ethics, that how does ethics contribute to the societal and human well-being. So if we follow ethics, what will be the good consequences on humans and society? If we follow ethics, how does it promote human life? Why it is important in public administration? Basically, what is the consequence of following ethics in the professional context of bureaucracy? So it is all same theme. It is just here it is asking the consequences. Here it is asking that how it is actually helping in terms of decision making. So a step before consequences. That when you are making decision, that when you are resolving ethical dilemmas, how exactly ethics is helping you? What is it that you should consider when you are making decision? That is what this question is asking. And you just can break this professional context in the context of business ethics, media ethics, bureaucratic ethics, and just write so many great examples that you have prepared. And that is how you will generate, various dimension to the question. So we need to analyze PYQs and we need to prepare them very, very thoroughly. Let us discuss, the next question. I hope you have understood that what is it that is required in that question. That question has two questions actually. It is not a single question. First question is that how it will help you in terms of human actions, in individual organization, and then in the context of professional context also. And you can just give various examples of different. Now let's talk about this question. Another very easy question. Simply ethics in international relation. Just read this question. It is not enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it. It is not enough to believe in it. One must act upon it. UPSC को ना मजा आता है लंबा पेपर देने में. इसका कोई मतलब नहीं है इसके आगे. No, in the present context, the major weapon industries of developed nations are adversely influencing the continuation of number of wars for their own self-interest all around the world. So what are the ethical considerations of these powerful nations in today's international arena to stop continuation of ongoing conflict? So basically, what should be our consideration? What ethical considerations are required on the part of these powerful nations? What they should think? So what are the standards? What are the ethical standards based on which they should make their decision making? It may be punctual, it can be anything. So we need to talk about all those ethical standards. Ethics in IR covers that part, or the UN charter that are there, it covers that part. So what are the ethical standards that they should consider? And one important, case study, and just look at this question. At the international level, the bilateral relation between the most nations are governed on the policy of promoting one's own national interest without any regard to interest of other nation. It is just the application of that, the first few lines, that the major nations are simply continuing their own national interest by promoting conflict in other countries. It has just simply explained the first line here. And this leads to conflict and tension between the nation. How can ethical considerations help resolve such tension? The same question that is there, same exact line, that what ethical considerations are required to solve these problems, solve these, tension that is there in international relations. Same question. UPSC also gave one case study that we also covered as mini test in terms of arms trade. And in this question, one question was there that what should the ethical consideration of the nation when they indulge in arms trade. So basically, it is talking about the ethical consideration of the developed country when they should, in what circumstances they should give arms, because that is how conflicts are promoted. When you are taking sides in a conflict, one nation will be supplying arms to one faction and another nation will be supplying arms to another faction, and the conflict will continue. So what should be the ethical consideration when you are indulging in arms trade? That is also that you need to, address in this particular question. Apart from the other international ethical standards that are there, mutual, peaceful existence, mutual benefit, sovereignty and everything, respecting of international law, cosmopolitan ethics, everything. All those ethical standards. So this question, so first three questions I'm talking about, all those questions simply a reflection of UPSC PYQs only in different context. But we are more concerned about form of the question than the substance of the question. And that is why we find the paper too difficult. It was difficult from the perspective of being lengthy and having too many statements in it. Not because what it was asking. Because as you can see, it was asking the same thing that it was asking earlier. So that is the kind of clarity we should have when we are preparing for this particular paper. Let us talk about another question.
In that previous question, can we give any examples, like any country specific?
Yes, you can talk about that. This particular faction is supported by this particular faction is supported by this. Instead of promoting the multilateral governance structures, that is there. So instead of taking action through those platform, they are taking action in an individual capacity. That is what you can always talk about. You can always talk about that. And that is a failure, and that is why you can talk about that it should be reformed. The multilateral flow, the platform that are there like UNSC and everything should be reformed. And that can be a conclusion. Actually, that is why international ethical standards have not been enforced, because it does not have democratic representation. Few powerful nations have hijacked the agenda in those bodies, and that is why they are dysfunctional. This question is as much as it is about bureaucracy, as much as it is about you. Yes, there is mindless addiction to form. जी बताइए, क्यों करेंगे? इंडिया ने कहाँ तबाही मचाई है? वेपन ट्रेड के अलग एथिकल कंसिडरेशंस हैं, वो अलग तरीके से आपको लिखने हैं. ठीक है, जैसे इन द केस ऑफ अफगानिस्तान, इंडिया नेवर गेव वेपन्स. India's assistance when the regime was there, not in this case, before that, it was always humanitarian assistance. So we always made that difference, that where we can give arms and where we should not give arms. So that was an ethical responsibility. India has been regarded as model nuclear citizen because it has been ethical in terms of its nuclear power. And that is why NSC waiver and everything was there. And that is why there is waiver for so many, restrictions that have been there for weapon trade that is there. So those are the good case studies that you can always quote, that how ethical consideration can help, in terms of diffusion of tension. You can also give the case study of India accepting the land boundary, this land boundary dispute with respect to Bangladesh. That settlement was there and we accepted that. And there was transfer of enclaves between India and Bangladesh because we abided by the ethical considerations that there should be peaceful coexistence. We abided by that. On the other hand, some nations may not, simply follow that particular ethical consideration, and it will create so many problems. So that is the kind of case studies that you can give in your answer. Criticism, objective criticism कर सकते हैं. आप criticism पे क्यों अड़े हुए हैं? Mindless addiction to criticism. Objectively आप कर सकते हैं. I'm telling you, if it is objective, it is factual, then you can do. Otherwise, you cannot do. Ideological criticism नहीं कर सकते. If you do not like a particular political party, and अगर आप उसी के एंगल से लिख रहे हैं, that is what you cannot do. Because of ethical considerations जो आप बताएंगे, वहां से अलग करेंगे. That what are the ethical consideration? For example, all of us weapon trade is there. Weapons are supposed to be given. हमने discuss किया है. We have discussed this before also. That if there is no weapons, then no ethical standards are there. Then there can be Matsya law. All the big powerful nations, they will just eat smaller nations. And international law allow that you can maintain military for self-defense. And how will you maintain military without weapons? So just weapon trade is ethical and legal. But when you are indulging in weapon trade, how you are balancing the economic interest with the interest for peace, that is where ethics will come in. And that is where, if you have solved this question, all those ethical considerations will come in. That is what you should consider. That what is the capacity of the nation to which you are giving, where these arms will be used, whether that government is democratic or not, whether if the government has capacity to manage the fallout in case the weapons falls in the wrong hands. So that is what one need to understand when one is solving this question. So ethical perspective will come from usual regular international ethical standards plus some of the ethical consideration with respect to weapons trade. That what all we need to understand when we are indulging in it. And most importantly, you can always talk about the reform of all these multilateral flora that is there, that is supposed to safeguard international order. So mindless addiction to form, ignoring the substance of the matter, results in rending of injustice. A perceptive civil servant is one who ignores such, and carries out true intent. So this question, if you just read this question, you read this question. Wisdom lies in knowing what to reckon with and what to overlook. An officer being engrossed with the periphery, ignoring the core issue before him, is no rare in bureaucracy. And do you think such preoccupation leads to the travesty of justice, covered in mini test number 3 in the program? The same question, exactly same question, has been asked by UPSC, just the lines have been changed here and there. So what should be the answer to this question? What it is talking about? It is talking about the bureaucratic mindset, where rules become the end in themselves. It is talking about red tapeism. It is talking about how bureaucracy, it believes in, at times it indulging in, managing reactions instead of indulging in systemic reforms. You can always talk about how fake encounters have been used, to give a semblance of justice instead of giving total justice. That is what mindless addiction to form. Emphasis on outputs, that these many toilets have been built, these many schools have been built. That is what? Form. That is form. Only the form of school is there. Only the form of toilet is there. The outcome of using that toilet, that is cleanliness, it may not be there. So that is what, bureaucrat is not concerned about. The form of schools building and college buildings, that are, we have built so many schools, they will do this chest thumping and get presidential award also for that. But then what is the learning outcome? So that is the true outcome that the bureaucrat should, work for. So that is the true substance. So that is what question is saying. What bureaucrat should believe in? What bureaucrat should believe in? In the core issue, the substance of the matter. It may have negative impact on the morale of the bureaucracy. That is how it is, that is how it may lead to a travesty of justice. Because if all the bureaucrats are following rules in that fashion only, it can demoralize any particular bureaucrat. We have so many examples for that. You talk about all the disaster management. Every year there is a flood. Every year there is a landslide. But we are managing reactions only. We are managing forms only, rather than doing, a comprehensive check on the environmental degradation. So that is what this question is all about. That if we all the time, if we are managing the peripheral reactions only, forms only, then we may not be able to, solve the core issue or the real issue. Here, a good student will always give the case study. Here, a good student will always give the case study and give the counter perspective, that if we focus on the substantial issues, then peripheral issues can also be managed. You can give the example of management of cyclones. You can just contrast the management of cyclones with the management of landslides. In the case of cyclones, there is so much of disaster preparedness that is there in Odisha. And because of that, we are able to, save so many lives. So that is why that is happening, because we have been able to identify the core issue of disaster preparedness, disaster management, rather than simply, addressing the crisis situation then and there. You talk about all these, law and order problems that are there. What is the first reaction that is there of government? It will simply transfer the SPs and district magistrate. It is like just focusing on the forms of problem, not the substance of it. The real answer lies in police reforms. The police, should not have political interference. Then only it will discharge its duty and maintaining law and order. So that is what you need to write in this question. The true intent, the true bureaucrat will always focus on substance. The same question we have discussed. What's the question? 1, 2, 3. Yes, fourth question now we are discussing. Fourth question we have discussed. Students have written also on the same question in the previous batch. So that is what, that is the kind of preparation one must have when he or she is going for this examination, because in actual examination, you have very little time to think originally, very little time. What you know, what you can remember, what you have revised, if you can just write that also, then also it is a great deal. Now all of you understood this question. Let us move to the next question. Global warming and climate change, मैं यहाँ पढ़ूंगा है ना. Global warming and climate change are the outcomes of human greed in the name of development, indicating the direction in which extinction of organisms, including human beings, is heading towards loss of life on Earth. Now, the question is, how do you put an end to this to protect life and bring equilibrium between society and environment? A very broad question. Very, very broad question, that how do you simply, maintain equilibrium between society and environment? And the topic is applied ethics, that is environmental ethics. We discussed that what are the ethical standards then one should follow in terms of conservation of environment, environmental ethics. But the answer will not be written in this format. That is where your answer writing skills will come into the play. If you want to gain very high marks in this particular question, then you have to diversify your answer, that what all we need to do. This was the full length test question that was there for this ethics batch, and you see this question: we do not inherit the earth from ancestors, we borrow it from the children. Discuss the ethical responsibilities of individuals, corporations, governments in protecting the environment for future generations. Same question that is there, that what should be done to balance society and environment. The same question that I asked students to write a question on. This is a question from full length test. So a good answer to this question will not just dump all these ethical standards. He will think from the stakeholder perspective and see what governments can do, what citizens can do, what international organizations can do, what NGOs can do, what should be the kind of ethical standard. That will be part of the answer, of course, but then what all other stakeholders will do. Then only this comprehensive coverage to answer will be done. Not just by dumping ethical standard, that will be an incomplete approach. How do you balance the equilibrium? When all the stakeholders play their role by following these ethical standards. That is the theme of this answer. The same question, fifth or sixth question, I think we are discussing now. So now you can see, all these questions students have written before writing the mains. I gave them, we identify these things. It takes a lot of time to do that. We identify those themes and then students write on them. Then only, in the examination, it works like instinct. That what you have already studied, what you have already written, it will be there in your paper. So now you know the answer to this question. How will you be structuring that question? From the perspective of ethical standards, from the perspective of role of different stakeholders, different stakeholders. The equilibrium between society and environment cannot just be made by a national government. See, the perspective is global perspective. That environment cannot be conserved when only India thinks that it can conserve the environment. Environment will be conserved when all the nations collectively think that they have to conserve environment. So global perspective, and that is why it is important that all the UN organizations that are there, they play their role. All the multilateral institutions, they work properly. And you can definitely give the good case study of Montreal Protocol here, that yes, we can reverse the damage also if we collectively work towards something. That is a good case study that you can give in this question. That's how you can put an end to this, and you can bring the equilibrium also. So a good answer will always, go a step ahead than what, most students will be writing. I hope you are getting the perspective that what is the kind of content that is required. Let us talk about another question. This is a quotation-based question. I think those who are part of this batch can remember this particular image that was there when I was teaching Immanuel Kant. The question is, I will read it here. In law, a man is guilty when he violates the rights of others. In ethics, he is guilty if only he thinks of doing so. Which part of Kantian ethics this particular question is asking? Which part of Kantian ethics? If you have to have for you to solve quotation-based question, you have to have conceptual clarity. Otherwise, you will simply think, "Arey bhai, kya likhun isme? What should I write?" This question is, just talk about these images first. We saw those images when politicians were simply, distributing all that kachra, before that, and they themselves are cleaning it and then getting it photo clicked. So they were doing it just for the sake of doing it. Yes, you talk about this. All these great Bhamasha, yes, all these great donator, are giving one single banana to this person. That is what all of them can contribute. So they are indulging in this great act of donation, all of them collectively. What is the aim of this donation? Is it to help this person? Is it to help this person? What is the true aim? Publicity. What is the true aim? Publicity. What is the true aim here? Again, publicity. You are not doing it for the respect of the moral law. So that is a fundamental dimension of Kantian ethics that you need to bring in when you are answering this question, that you have to follow law, not because if you are not following the law, you will be reprimanded or you will be sent to jail, or you are following the law because of the fear of punishment, because otherwise it will be a consequentialism only. Consequential ethics tells you that you are following ethical standards because of the consequences, but can't tell you that you are following ethical standard for the sake of it, because you are respecting the moral law. So you are not following it because someone else will punish you. You are following it because you believe in it. You have respect for the moral law. So if you are doing this cleanliness, you should do it for the respect of it, for the respect of cleanliness, not for the publicity. If you are indulging in donation, you should indulge in it, but for purpose of helping this person, not for the purpose of publicity. You are in fact using this poor person as a mean to the end of your publicity. You are again violating Kantian ethic. So that is the kind of perspective you need to have when you are discussing this question. Respect for moral law. So now you understand what this question is saying, that in law a man is guilty when he actually violates the right of the, or when he actually violates the law. But in ethics, one is guilty when you even think of doing so. Basically, even if your intentions are wrong, then you are guilty. Because you are supposed to be rational, you are supposed to you are supposed to be someone who is respecting moral law. So violating rights of others should not come to your mind in the first place. You can also take this discussion a step ahead, and you can talk about the difference between a question. Talk about what does it mean to you in present context. So you can always talk about that how laws, rules, and regulation have limitation in terms of ethical guidance, and that is why you have to be moral and ethical to actually follow highest set of standards that are there in public life. And that is where you can take this question, that is difference between law and ethics. The dowry is there. Yes, dowry is illegal. Still people are doing it. Why? It is illegal. Law is there. Law is prohibiting it. Still we are indulging in dowry because society does not regard it wrong. So when society regards it wrong, from when they really follow the Kantian ethic that they should respect this law for the sake of it, not because they will be punished, for the sake of it, then only dowry will be removed. So that is where you can bring this question. Another important concept that you can relate to is conscience and integrity. So that is where you can take this question if you are discussing this question. Let us talk about another quotation-based question. The concept of just and unjust is contextual. What was just a year back may turn out to be unjust in today's context. Changing context should be constantly under scrutiny to prevent miscarriage of justice. This is a question on ethical relativism. And I think we have discussed all these different factors, that is talking about how ethical standards are being shaped by different factors. We talked about how concept of justice is being shaped by time. We discussed, what was considered ethical some time back, that you can simply impute the one limb of a criminal. If someone has committed some theft or some murder, king will order that one limb of that person should be amputated, and it was considered ethical, and king was considered just. But the same thing is not now considered ethical, because the concept of justice has evolved. It is now talking about reformative justice. Concept of time. Talk about sati pratha. You talk about views on capital punishment. You talk about animal right. You talk about LGBT community. So all these ethical standards are evolving with time, and that is how you can talk about, how religion, time, social influencers, conscience, government, all these have a great, great role to play in terms of, promoting ethical relatives, in terms of, shaping ethical standards with respect to demand of the society. Earlier, it was not allowed that there should be reservation on the basis of economic criteria, but now the constitutional amendment was done to enforce that. Earlier, it was not mandatory on the part of companies that they should spend some part of their net profit on the social welfare activities, but now it is legally mandated. So what was not considered unjust is now considered just. So everything depends upon context, and that is where the true conceptual clarity of ethical relativism will come, and all these factors will come. And that is how you will write a great, great degree of answer. And a great answer will always have this counter perspective towards hand, that even though things are changing, yet there are certain fundamental ethical standards which are universal in nature because of human existence. You talk about common human values. And those things will not change with time. It does not matter whether someone is in Africa, someone is in America, someone is in India. All human beings should be treated with utmost dignity. Now, Afghanistan cannot say that it is our, our own internal matter. We are sovereign, and it should be just left to us how we are treating our women, because we believe in ethical relativism. No. The certain fundamental ethical standards which are universal in nature by virtue of human existence, and that is the counter perspective that you need to give, that no matter the context that is there are certain ethical standards which are universal by virtue of human existence. So that will be a great answer we'll explore when he or she is attempting that particular question. I think this question on Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, I told many times to my student that this question will be asked, and in that regard only, that how the objective is changing from penalization to ensuring justice. In my revision session also, I told the same thing, and I think this question has come. The question on gender equality, we discussed one particular case study in which the women was facing so many issues at the workplace. The same question has come in the form of section A, that what more we can do. There was one case study, I think UPSC asked that case study. One particular Rashika or someone was there, who was not able to discharge, maintain balance between work-life balance was not there, and what kind of measures that we can suggest to that organization. So out of all these 13 questions, I think at least 10 questions are directly the questions that we already had practiced in the classes through test. Rest 2-3 questions are the application that you need to do on the day of the examination, and they are also not that difficult. If you talk about case study, I think one case study that was there, in which you are supposed to, manage the crowd that is there. They are charging the tribal women. They are charging against you. It is simply about, one of the aspect was that what extra consideration you will do. One question was there, what consideration you will have. Simply about doctrine or double effect, that on what basis you will indulge in the lathi charge and other firing. And then if suppose someone is injured, then you will take the responsibility also. What should be the gradual process? What should be the qualifying standards based on which you are taking that decision? That should be identified in that particular study. And I think I discussed same exact theme in terms of lathi charge. Similarly, one question was there in which the pharmaceutical company that is there, and it is bypassing some due process of making a medicine. The exact same case study was there in our full-length test in the context of pharmaceutical company only. So all I'm saying is that if you just prepare this subject thoroughly, beforehand, identify the theme, work really hard towards it, identify what are the various templates that you can, fall upon in terms of when you are writing the answer, you will be tremendously at ease when you are writing the answer. The only difficulty will be whether you have, practiced enough before the examination or not. Otherwise, as I've just shown you, it is always, the form of the question is changing, the substance will remain same. I think I will just show you, you will still not believe me. These are some of the purest form of testimonials, that I just received this year after the mains examination. Some of them will become topper, I hope, in the next year, and I will show these chats with the name also. The essay that was directly, that is there, any man can withstand diversity and everything. So now, see, the time is very limited. Till December, you must prepare for your mains, because next year between prelims and mains, time is very, very less. It is less than even 3 months. So this is the right time to prepare ethics, and you need to prepare ethics in this fashion that everything in the ethics paper should feel like that we have done it before. Because अगर सब कुछ नया नया लग रहा है ना, सब कुछ नया है, सब कुछ अलग है, तो फिर गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. एंड इफ सपोज सम ऑफ यू थिंक कि जो होगा देखा जाएगा, है ना, कुछ लोग बोलते हैं तो अभी प्रीलिम्स करते हैं, बाकी चीज करते हैं, जो होगा देखा जाएगा, फिर जो होगा वो देखा नहीं जाएगा. It is very, very difficult after prelims. Because between prelims and mains, you have to manage your essay, ethics, GS paper, optional, everything. You will be juggling between that only. A lot of current affair you need to study. So this is the right time to prepare ethics. That is what I am telling you. Understood? Have you understood the importance of, the one saying that is there, the more you practice before, the less you bleed in war. And that is the same thing that goes for ethics also. The more you prepare these themes beforehand, the less, you will find the ethics paper in the real exam life. Because as you can see, the questions are more. I gave you the example from mini test for that matter. I know I did not talk about mostly from lectures. I talked about that I have given them questions to write. Not just the discussion, but the questions also. Because reading a particular theme is different, and preparing that theme so thoroughly that you have also written an answer on that, it's totally different experience. And when you write the same answer in the examination hall, imagine all those people who have written this essay on any man can withstand adversity. Imagine how what kind of ease they would have felt. That kind of ease. That is why they are writing something. It is September 20, 12:21 p.m. 20 minutes after completion of examination. 9 to 12 paper was there. तो 10 मिनट तो बाहर आने में लग जाते हैं. 20 minutes just after. Imagine the kind of happiness this person would have felt. And that is what I as a mentor live for. This is what gives me true happiness. Truest form of happiness. Okay, so I request all of you to prepare ethics in that fashion so that you can also score very high, and to help you in that, we are starting one program from 16th of October this year. Just I think next week we are starting that program. In that, we will be covering all the theory part in 18 classes. I will be giving you content also, notes also. Apart from that, we will be covering everything from basic to advanced level in 18 classes. And I think after that, we will be having 6 mini tests on section A, just like what I showed you. You will be given 1 hour test. In those PYQs coverage will be there. I will identify the themes that are important for next year. Those themes will be there in your paper and you practice on them. And then I will have discussion immediately after the test. So that whatever you have studied in those 18 classes gets checked then and there only. So that you understand that how we actually think in the actual examination hall. What are the templates through which we have to think? Because in real life situation, in real life examination, it may not be possible to think afresh in the examination hall. and then we will have 8 case study sessions to cover all important case study themes comprehensively. Now, I will tell you one thing. Now, all the June batch students should forgive me for that. I think between prelims and mains, usually time is very less. So I was having only these 6 case study classes. Every year, I conduct questions on law and order, and that include Naxalism, and I also conduct questions on water scarcity. Both the question came this year, but this year I just couldn't do it because I had to focus on artificial intelligence and other themes. And I was just kicking myself after seeing the paper that I should have given those questions at least at a practice question, because the time is very less. But now we will have a lot of time to discuss those questions. I will include lot many themes, because now there is no such a constraint that is there that I have to finish something like that. We can cover lot many themes during this period of time. So total 32 classes will be there. 18 will be theory classes. In 6 classes, section A answer writing will be there. That is very, very important. All of you neglect that part. As you can just see, all the questions, what are the questions that you have already solved beforehand. And the themes, I will identify that what are important from next year, and then you will be writing on them. And then you will talk about the case studies. After that, there will be 2 full-length tests. The syllabus, all the class will get over by 28th of November, roughly around that. And just after 10 days, I will give you 10 days to revise, and there will be full-length test. And that test will be evaluated. After 1 month after that, I will give you another 1 month to revise furthermore, so that you can have the 4th round of revision. And I think around 8th January, we will have another full-length test. That will also be evaluated. So there will be 2 full round of revision through full-length test, and 2 round of revision through your section A and section B answer writing. So you will have a lot of time in terms of revising ethics paper, so that by the first week of January, it will be cemented in your mind. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. I think as I just discussed, in the phase 1, we will be covering all the classes. Daily 1 class will be there from Monday to Friday, 5 days a week. And after that, we will have daily 1 mini test on section A, followed by answer discussion. In discussions only, I discussed the templates, that how to address these type of question. I was telling you that you can include rational decision making here, technology here. All those things I will teach you in that. And after that, in phase 3, I will teach you case studies, and then full-length test will be there. So this is a quite comprehensive course with respect to ethics. Nothing else is needed when it comes to ethics. All of you ask me, sir, what more can I do? This is I think more than what you can do. You will not be able to write even that in your actual examination paper. That is the kind of content that I will be giving you through these lectures and through these notes. Okay. So I think this is what I was telling you, that the time next year is really, really less. Program join kariye, mat kariye, but at least ethics prepare kar lijiye. You must prepare ethics in this time only. Next year you will be gasping for time. You must prepare ethics thoroughly in this particular time only. Okay, it is very important. There will not be any next batch. Any next batch will be after prelims only. And since the time between prelims and mains is quite less, so I may not cover the theory part, and so some part in that particular point of time, I have to reduce the length of the course. This year I was having 4 weeks of course. The duration was 4 weeks. But next year I may not have the same luxury. Students might say, sir, we are having less time. So that is why this is the most comprehensive course before mains 2025 next year. There will not be any other batch. Okay, so if you wish to join, please join. And I think I requested them, and they have extended the validity of this particular code, ethics 10. Ethics 10. Likh deta hu, I think. That code is there that you can use to get 10% discount on the course. Please use this code, ethics 10. You will get 10% off, and it will be valid till 5 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, so please decide soon and work on ethics. Even if you don't wish to join course, that is fine, but work on your ethics paper during this time, because otherwise you will be repenting like anything between prelims and mains. Many students come every year because all the time they were preparing ethics on prelims only. and they will say, sir, ab hum mains mein kya kare, and they will have their optional to prepare, they will have their essay to prepare, they have not even written one essay before prelims. कितना करेंगे? Surely the result is there before him, क्योंकि prelims ही पढ़ते रह गए. All the time they were studying prelims only. So that is my humble request to all of you, that please work really hard during this point of time. These 3 months are very very crucial. Don't study prelims. Prelims थोड़ा बाद में कर सकते हैं. Emphasize on the mains, and then from January onwards you can always prioritize your prelims, and that is how you should prepare. Is there any doubt with respect to this course or anything? You may please now ask.
Class timings क्या होते हैं?
Class timing will be 5:30 p.m. Every day from Monday to Friday, we will have these classes 5:30 p.m. If there any doubt, you may please ask. I'm looking at this YouTube chat also. Which book is good for ethics? See, as you have just, in 100 rupees, all the notes are there in the market. The ethics is never about content. I have discussed so many times. It is about conceptual clarity. All the books will say same thing, but still you will not find their application in the examination hall. That is the real problem. The duration of the class for first 18 classes, it will be around 2.5 hours. After that, for both the phase 2 and phase 3, as I just showed you, for that it will be 1 hour of mini test every day, followed by roughly 1.5 hours of discussion, roughly plus minus 15 minutes, roughly. So you will be writing, in terms of practice, you see there will be 14 mini test, 14 hour of test, roughly translates to 5 full length test. Yes or no? 5 full length test, and then there will be 2 full length tests. So you will be writing 7 full length tests on ethics. That is more than that is required on ethics paper. 7 full length. It is lot of answer writing practice, and I am again guaranteeing you that you will see question again from these 7 almost 7 full length tests in the next year paper also. It depends upon them. What you have to do before starting classes? Nothing. You have to just prepare your optional and other GS paper. Okay, leave ethics to me, because that is what you have paid me for. So you save your time there and you prepare other things. Ethics you can leave up to me. Whatever things then I tell you in ethics module, you please follow it sincerely. That is what is expectation from my side. Recordings will be there, and the course will cover whole syllabus. You will not need anything. That is my promise to you. I just showed you. We could not discuss case study, otherwise I would have shown that also. No, nothing else is needed. That is my promise to you. Nothing else is needed. You just follow it, and the recorded videos will be available. Application of theory will be very contextual. Mindlessly, you cannot apply utilitarianism, artificial intelligence, something like that. Is there any other doubt that you have to decide? Is there any other doubt? Any other doubt? Any other question? एक शेर है ना, गले लगाने से पहले ये काम करना था. मतलब बिफोर यू ज्वाइन यू आस्क ऑल दीज क्वेश्चन ना. गले लगाने से पहले ये काम करना था, जब बना लिया अपना तो अजमाना क्या. So once you join the program, you simply devote yourself fully, and then work hard towards it, and you will see the benefit when you are actually writing the tests. So is there any other question that I should address? I will have regular Zoom sessions. In those Zoom sessions, I will circulate a Google form in which you can just fill up your doubts, those who are enrolled, and then in those Zoom sessions, I will be discussing all those doubts. So that's how your doubts will be addressed. If you are attending online, your doubt will be addressed through this chat window only, where there you can just ask your doubt. And if you are watching recorded lectures, then okay, then note making process, more or less I will be giving you notes, so you need not worry about it. I think validity will be till December only, till December end. I do not take any such course. Okay, after prelims, you need not use any other thing after that. As I discussed, that you will be writing roughly 7 full-length tests. You did not write any other thing after that. Lot many questions you would have written. It would help you tremendously. Okay, okay then. Bye bye. Take care.